Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm happy that you're hanging out with me again on this Wednesday, this Wisdom on Wednesday, and I'm your host, Ray. Looking forward to another enlightening conversation regarding some wisdom facts, some wisdom nuggets, some wisdom principles that I can learn from you all, and hopefully I can share with you some of the errors in my life where I've gained some knowledge by not trying to repeat those errors. But I'm super excited. You guys have been sharing the content. You guys have been commenting on the post. You've been sharing your social media and tagging me. I appreciate that. I appreciate you partnering with us on this Wisdom on Wednesday journey. Again, my disclaimer is I'm not the wisest person, but we chose to name the title of this podcast Wisdom on Wednesday is because I choose not to repeat some of the same errors in my past. And I want to share with you some of the areas in which I've adjusted and we're trying to walk in this wisdom journey going forward. So today, per usual, spending some time with the Lord, asking for subject matter, asking for things that he can deal with me and I can give you the overflow. Here it is today. Wise people, it's okay to ask for help. Wise people, it's okay to ask for help. I'm in the middle of several projects in my house, and those projects take a long time. But currently, the project I'm working on is my bathroom on the main floor. And there's some things that I've never done before. There's some parts I've never heard of, and there's some tools that I don't own. So I'm at the mercy of this porcelain god. And I have to make certain that this equipment is something that I can prepare to try to save some money, some resources that I don't have to dish out for this particular project. So I'm trying my best to get this project complete so I can put my wife's house back together as best I can. But this project, it asked for some tools that weren't in my garage. So I had to go to the store. But while I was going to the store, I had to contemplate, do I take a picture of my issue? So when I get to the store, I can clearly describe my problem to the person who's been hired to help in that particular area of the store. So I took a picture of the issue. I took it to the hardware store. I'm walking up to this particular person, and I can see the look on their face that they're hired to help, that they have a vest on that actually says that they are a specialist in this particular area. And as I describe my issue and I describe the tools that I thought I could use, I could look upon the person's face as if they looked at me as this person has absolutely no clue of what he's doing, and they were correct. I could see them looking and seeing that I asked for certain parts that didn't correspond with the problem that I said that I had. But I want you to understand something that had to happen. As that person was sitting in a prepared place to help a potential customer, I was also preparing myself to be vulnerable, to express I had an issue, to express that I didn't have the knowledge and the wherewithal or the tools to fix it. Sometimes, friends, we have to be honest and vulnerable and ask the question. But before we can come to the place of ascertaining which questions to ask, we have to ask ourselves the appropriate questions. Am I in a space that I'm willing to be vulnerable to let somebody know I have an issue that I don't have the answers to? Or do I want to just stay here and keep spending money perplexed on how I can do it myself because I'm overcome with the opinion of people? You see, as I'm walking up to this hardware store, walking up to this particular plumbing aisle, I'm not feeling my best. I'm not feeling as confident in other areas that I'm strong suited in. Can anybody relate? It's easy to go into your toolbox when you're accustomed to fixing a particular problem, but everybody's not well versed in plumbing. Everybody's not well versed in which tool is good for this particular job, which fitting, which wrench is best for this job. There are some people who are confident there, but then there's people like me that the job still needs to be done, but I'm not as confident as somebody else may be. So I have to go and I have to rely on the experience of somebody who has been employed to help customers like me. So as I'm looking upon this person's face and telling them my issue, they're looking back at me like, this idiot has no clue of how to fix this toilet. He has no clue what tools he needs. He doesn't even know how bad the job is. He's in here buying one part at a time. Can anybody relate? Sometimes you're so perplexed, you don't even understand how deep you're actually in it until you speak to somebody who's been in it before. You see, the person working in the store wasn't just somebody who became an expert. They became an expert by experience. That they understood that type of issue I had been in because they had been in it once before. And isn't life just like that? That God allows us to have mentors, not mentors who done everything right, but he's given us mentors that allowed us to actually grow in areas that they failed in. A mentor that's actually in the space to allow us to grow and learn from things that they failed at so we can continue to be built up to be exactly who he called us to be in this season of our lives. If we ask the right questions of the right people, maybe we can get what we need to get to the next level. You see, if I was so impressed with myself, I would have tried my best to fix it myself and not ask any help. But I've been down the street before. To go into the hardware store, all the tools are here. The signs are on the wall. But even if I went and I purchased the tools, even if I went and found the appropriate putty, the things that I need to put it together, there's something special about being able to ask somebody who's done this before. There's something special about somebody giving you their experience, somebody giving you the things that they did wrong, the things that they didn't do adequately, the things that they wish they can go back and do it better. There are some people that can share, I did it this way at this particular time in my life, and I wouldn't have you do it the same type of way, because if you do it the way I did it, you're going to spend more money. Now that person is employed, they're in a position, they're in a place to where now they not only can lean on their experience, but they can also lean on their knowledge. You see, knowledge and experience work together, because if you don't have experience, that means you haven't gained any knowledge. And if you learn to work with knowledge and experience, now you can mentor. Now you can share your story. Now you can help somebody get from one place to the other. Unfortunately, many people don't want to be transparent. Unfortunately, many of us fail at being vulnerable. Unfortunately, many of us don't want people to know that we're not what we portray. There's times in our lives where we have to let people know that I'm struggling. I need your help. But the world doesn't congratulate those who need help. The world congratulates those who are always Johnny on the spot. The world congratulates those who always know where all the scriptures are. They memorize all the text. They know God. But what about those of us who struggle at times? Those of us who struggle at wondering if that prayer got through. Some of us who struggle with depression. Some of us who struggle with anxiety. Who struggle with, I don't feel my best. It's important to be vulnerable, because when you're vulnerable, now people can actually look into your life and speak to you, because they may have once been at that same space. But if you go to the doctor and you go to the doctor with something that's ailing you, but then when you get inside the doctor, you don't want to tell the doctor what's wrong. The doctor says, what's ailing you? You says, nah, nothing. I just came to see how you doing. You wasting my time and you wasting your money. You can't get help if you don't open up your mouth. You can't get an appropriate diagnosis if you don't say what the issue is. You have to be able to ascertain. You have to be able to articulate. You have to be able to say what the thing is. Because when you say what the thing is, that thing now has to flee. Now, when you get to the space of understanding that I have been a little depressed, I have been a little overwhelmed, I have been in a space where I haven't appropriately handled my feelings and my emotions. Now we are moving towards healing, because we're acknowledging that we have an issue. Now, once I got in the hardware store and that person pointed me in the right direction, I don't know if you've ever been here before, I had all kind of confidence speaking to that attendant with that vest on. He told me what to do. He told me what parts to buy. And I turned the corner and went down the appropriate aisle that he told me to go down. And when I got down there, I forgot everything he said. It seems like all the tools that he told me were down there, they weren't in that aisle. It seemed like all the putty he told me that would help my project was not there. When I was in his face, I was able to feel confident because I was vulnerable. But then fear crept in. While I was in the presence of my my minute mentor, I had all the confidence in the world. But then when I went away on my own, looking for what he told me to look for, it felt like I didn't have direction. Can you relate? That sometimes even when you get up the courage to be vulnerable, when you give up the courage to tell somebody what's wrong, when you're in the conversation, when you're in the company of somebody who's receiving you, somebody who's loving on you, somebody who's praying for you, it feels like everything's going to be okay. But as soon as you get by yourself, as soon as you get to the aisle, as soon as you get to the issue, as soon as you get alone, it seems like the confidence is fleeting now. It seems like now you're forgetful of the things that once had you fortified. It seems like now the very thing that was going to help me now is hindering me. Now I have paranoia. Do I have the skills? Can I fix this, or should I just hire somebody? Can I really do this? You see how life is? Sometimes it seems like when you get up enough courage to do what you're supposed to do, you forget all the courage you had. You forget what the tools are that you need. You forget the people who gave you the counsel. I've learned a lesson and I've kept it close to me. The people that are loving you, the people that care for you, don't have a running list of how much you need them. The people who are ordained to love on you, the people who are ordained to teach you, the people who are ordained to feed you, to speak into your life, they don't have a running tab on you. I want you to be free today. They're not looking at every time you call and say, I just talked to this knucklehead 2 weeks ago. Their heart has been fixed to hear your voice. Their voice has been orchestrated to speak to your heart. So that when you do have an issue, when you do want to be vulnerable, when you do want to speak to somebody who may be able to talk to you about that issue or talk to you about how God helped them through that issue, that person has been called out. They've been sanctified just for you. But guess what? If you never open up your mouth and let that person know that you have an issue, that person won't be able to fulfill their gifting. They won't be able to fulfill their calling into your life, because we deal with this issue called pride. And what pride does is pride tells us that we don't need nobody. Pride tells us I'm just going to suffer in silence. Pride tells us that I'm the only one going through this, so I'm not going to bother anybody with my issues. The devil is a lie. Everybody's going through something. Everybody's dealing with something. Everybody needs somebody. The adversary wants to make you think that you're the only one going through this. You're the only one frustrated. You're the only one tired. Everybody's frustrated. Everybody's tired. That's why we have to make certain that we look to the hills. Our help comes from the Lord. That we have to be encouraged that trouble don't last always. But just because I have a problem today doesn't mean that problem is my identity. Just because I have something I can't figure out today doesn't mean I won't wake up tomorrow with a fresh mind and I can figure it out. But sometimes I just need to talk it out. Sometimes I need to walk it out. Sometimes I need to pray it out. Sometimes I need to cry it out. But friend, get it out. Make sure that you share your vulnerability. Make sure you share where you're hurting. And I know many people have done this in the past, and people were fraudulent friends and they didn't help you in the way that they said they would. They weren't there for you the way you needed them to be there. I know that. But don't give up on who God has ordained for you because of somebody else's failures. There's a season for you. There's a reason for what you're going through. There's a person who is ordained to speak to you. But make certain that you understand it's okay to ask for help. Because if you never ask for help, you may never understand where you're supposed to get, where you're supposed to be, who's supposed to get blessed by you. You see, there's people who are ordained to speak into your life. And in order for them to get to where God has ordained them to be, you are a part of their destiny. They have to see confidence in helping you, and so on and so forth. You see, if we keep our issues to ourselves, if we keep our problems to ourselves, if we keep our hardships to ourselves, our insecurities to ourselves, we're not trusting anybody with our trouble. We're not allowing anybody to speak into our lives. We're not even allowing ourselves to hear what's going on in our own minds. Some people have just subscribed that I've been struggling this long, I'm just going to keep on struggling. The devil is a lie. Jesus says, I came that you might have life and life more abundantly. Open up your mouth, friend, and confess. I need help. I don't know where and I don't know who, but I need help to get to this next level. I need help to get out of this bubble. I need help to get out of this angle of anxiety. It seems like every turn I make, I'm anxious. It seems like everything I think about, my thoughts are going through the roof. It seems like when I look upon my children, I worry for them and nothing's even wrong. Can you relate? You got to open up your mouth and let everything know that God is living in me, that God has ordained my steps. The steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. So even if I'm going through things, I'm walking with Jesus. Even if I'm struggling with Jesus. Even if I'm worried, trouble don't last always. The Bible wants us to understand clearly today that God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but one of power, love, and a sound mind. But if our minds can get locked up on worry, if our minds can get locked up on loneliness, if our minds can get locked up thinking that we don't have a friend in the world, we'll get stuck into that trap of believing the lie of the adversary. You've got help. You've got a friend. All you got to do is identify those people that God has shown you that you can be yourself with them. Trust me, says the Lord, and allow Him to teach you, to pull you out of this pit. You've been in here too long. You've been in that pit too long. You've been throwing that pity party too long. It's time to come out of that pit and move to the next level. Remember, in order for you to be the wise friend that I know you are, it's okay for you to ask for help. Because when you ask for help, what you're doing is saying, I can't do it by myself. And I've been trying all this time and I'm still standing still. I need help to get to the next level. I'm reminded of when Peter got out the boat. He left people behind when he got out the boat. He saw Jesus and he walked towards Jesus on the water. Something amazing. Many people doubt him. Many people talk bad about him. But Peter walked on the water, focused on Jesus. He didn't worry about what he couldn't do. He didn't worry about what the people behind him said. He didn't worry about his inadequacies. All he focused on is what Jesus could do. He said, Jesus is walking on water. If he can do it, I'm going to try. And he put both feet down on water. But while he was on water, he heard something and his focus was taken off of Jesus. He saw something and his focus was taken off of Jesus. And the Bible says he began to sink. But I love this part of the story. Even though the sinking symbolizes his faith failing, he called out to the Lord, and the Lord reached and grabbed him. The Lord touched him. The Lord pulled him out. And I want to encourage you today, just because you failed, just because you feel like you don't have enough faith, call out to the Lord and let him know, I need your help. I'm sinking. I'm drowning. I need you to pull me out. Remember, friends, it's okay to ask for help. God loves you more than you can ever imagine. This is Ray with Wisdom on Wednesday. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.